And this group has a little bit of everything. We have pretty flowers, we have fluttering butterflies, happy ghost, party hats, and one card that's hiding a little surprise inside. So this little birthday card looks festive on the front, but when we open it, well, let's just say it knows how to make an entrance, but I'm going to save this one for last, so stay with me so you can see the fun and festive birthday card. All right, we're also going to be making a second birthday card and a celebration card and a Halloween card. So before we get started, which kind of card do you need most? Birthday, thinking of you, seasonal, or that, oops, I need something by tomorrow. So no judgment here because I fall into that category all the time as well. So this month in Stamp with Friends, we are making 4 completely different cards, which is one of the things I love about this monthly class. We aren't making 4 cards, 4 versions of the same bundle. We're using different products. We're using different layouts, techniques, and styles. And we leave with 4 completely different cards for completely different occasions. We're going to start off with the happy little ghost. It's not too scary here unless you're running out of chocolate, which is a scary thought, right? That's terrifying. So this card is a great example of letting the pattern paper do the work. When you have paper with beautiful colors and movement and personality, we don't need a whole lot more. The orange, which is actually Timid Tiger, the happy little ghost, the black and white color combo, it all says Halloween. We've got a thin layer of black, clean, polished look to it. Now, we are using 2 circles. Notice how the larger circle is the focal point of the card, but there's movement created, one from the flying ghost and also from the circle movement. So the smaller circle has the anchor with the little cutout ghost without making the card feel too crowded. Let me get started with how we created this this card. So I am going from start to finish on most of these cards. I did a little bit of die cutting in advance because this is class. I want you to learn how I created everything. Sometimes you might know something, sometimes I give you something new. So I'm going from start to finish on the cards. So let's start with our supplies. We've got our Timid Tiger cardstock, standard size, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. We have a basic black layer, and this is just shy of the card front. So I've got, what would that be? 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. We've got that cute little patterned paper, and let me just say, this comes from the Frightfully Fun Designer Series paper. And like most pattern paper, it's hard to choose the side, right? It's hard to take sides. They're both really super cute. I went for the little flying ghost on this one, and I love the bright color. I think it makes a happy Halloween card. We also have an insert of basic white, which I like when I have a colored card base. I've got, let's see, a little scrap for die cutting, stamping, and more die cutting. And let's see. As I said, I think I left most of the die cutting, and I am going to be using my standard cut and emboss machine. So let's start with the die cutting. I'll move the other things out of the way. I'm going to be doing a little cloud, some little ghosts, a bigger ghost. So the bigger ghost, you might see, I actually took from the patterned paper. However, these little ghosts are scarce for the ones that have the die cut, and sometimes they land right in the middle of your design. So luckily, Stampin' Up! Also gave us the stamp and the die for that little ghost. So we're going to be using, for this one, we'll stamp and cut. So let me bring in my standard stamping, cut, and emboss machine. I'm trying to shift these over so I don't lose them. Now, the reason we need the standard is, I'm moving my coffee, by the way. I hope you grab something as well. The reason I'm using this standard machine is because we've got almost a full card front of paper, and the mini won't accommodate this size of paper. So, oh, I should have done a little bit of stamping. Yikes, I think I just dropped a die. No, hopefully not. All right, so let me start with the card base. I'm bringing that in so you can see. There we go. And I've got, today I have a magnetic plate underneath and very worn pads. So I'm taking this smaller circle, and when I do the pattern paper with the smaller circle, I am not going to mat it yet. I just want to cut through on the pattern paper. You will see I've got two different circle versions. This one that just cuts through the pattern paper, and the one on top that cuts through the mat as well. So we have to cut those separately. So although this card looks pretty simple, it's a little bit of an effort, but I think it's all worth it when it's handmade from the heart. Now, while I'm die cutting, I'm going to ask you, do you actually send Halloween cards? Because I'm going to be honest, I do not. I send maybe I can probably count them on my hand, the number of cards I send, and those would be usually to my kids or people near and dear to me, where I might include a gift card or cash. That would be my treat. They're most likely long distant. And oh, so here's another thing I'm going to do while I'm talking. And so I can't send candy. I'm not going to waste, well, I will, but what you could do is cut into your black mat, because nobody's going to see behind. So you could cut your bats out of the mat. I already happen to have a little scrap that I started cutting into right here. And at the same time, I'm going to cut my cloud. And let's just crank that through. Now these obviously you could use the small machine. Lena said you don't send either. What I do like about Halloween is the treats, right? Those I do enjoy crafting, and usually they're small little treats with a sweet, or I don't know, pen, pencils, something fun. And those usually go to like my service workers, I want to call them. So I go to the dentist, I take a treat. The bank, my favorite teller, take a treat. Wherever I happen to go, the hairstylist, that's when I like to take the Halloween treats. But cards, not so much. As I said, my daughter, my son, grandkids, nieces, nephews might get a card in the mail with a gift card, because if they're far away, I can't hand over a treat, right? Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do, you saw me cut my bats and my cloud. I should map this first, but I'm just going to throw caution to the wind, because on this one, I want both layers cut. And this is, by the way, the Stylish Shapes circles, which are my go-to. And so circles, labels, they are my most used. I think I own 2 sets, because when I'm prepping for class, it's easier just to run 2 at a time. I know, I love handing out the treats, and people are so grateful. And I think that's why I enjoy, even as I said, I shouldn't say this, I like cute Halloween. All right, so the larger circle, I'm putting it up about 1/2 inch from the top, and I'm only about 3/4 of the way in. So it's going to be a peak of a circle right there. And let's see, let me push that over just a little. There's that cute little ghost. I could probably use him. Patterned paper is hard, right? We just have to cut it. We can't be saving it, and because it's too cute. It's there to use, so let's make use of it. Okay, so I've got my layer cut. I've got that cut. I am going to have to cut one more thing, but we can do it on the mini, which I do not have handy. However, I will run and grab it in just a moment. Okay, so let's do a little bit of assembly before I start losing parts. Y'all know my favorite adhesive is some people call it green glue. It's probably because it comes out of a little green bottle, and sometimes it's a little bit stuck, so I always have a paper clip handy to pull out the little clot. Hopefully, oh, I see it coming. I see it. And if you have heard me demo before, the liquid glue is ... not a lot, because you do not want to have a sticky, oozy mess. And hopefully this is going to work for me. There we go. A little bit better. ... not a lot. And I don't go right up to the edge. That's where it would tend to ooze out. So I'm going to leave that there, flip it over, and this time it here. And I'm going to have just the slightest border, maybe 1/16 of an inch all the way around. There we go. And next, let's bring in our card base. I'm going to flip that over. Bone folder. I pre-scored this, so it's valley fold on the outside. And nice firm crease. And I am now going to mat this onto the card base. Again, liquid glue. My glue bottle is not cooperating today. I had two. Let's see how this one's filling. Usually I have multiple glue bottles on my tabletop. There we go, this is the one. Now, here's a tip. Usually when I have trouble getting the glue out, if I might be at the end of the supply, what I like to do is flip the bottle over, stand it on the wide tip, and then the glue flows to the bottom, and it tends to come out of the brush tip end a little bit more. You'll find you still have plenty of glue left in your bottle when you think it's empty. It's hard to let glue go to waste too. All right, so let's go. We've got our glue there. Let's do a little bit of stamping. I'm going to bring this in and my ghost and my black ink, which I am still using Memento Black, the new hybrid black pad, and I do not get along. I'm not ashamed to say it because I know a lot of people aren't thrilled with it. So I'm sticking with my Memento. It has served me well and it continues to. Okay, so nice stamp. I am going to have to die cut that. So let me grab my mini this time. And I apologize for not having it on my desktop. I'm going to have to go over. And let's push this out of the way. So at the craft table with Stamp with Friends, I usually have several minis on the table so that they're accessible. You don't have to get up out of your chair and walk around. Very convenient. Once in a while, we do have to get up for the standard machine. All right, so I'm going to die cut this. And again, you might be lucky and get the ghost right out of the pattern, which is super cute as well. You get that little orange outline, but you don't always have the little ghost available to you. All right, there we go. So now, let's take care of our stamping on our card. I want to make sure I put these away before I lose them. All right, Happy Halloween on the outside in Tuxedo Black. I also like to ink up my stamp upside down. I get a better view and I have a little bit better control of the ink. All right, so I'm gonna put this up. I'm right, my head is right over the camera. There we go. Firm impression. And since we have our ink out, let's also take our insert and we are going to stamp it still with the stamps from the Oh My Fright stamp set. We use the little ghost, Happy Halloween, Boo to You, and the little, oh, I can't recall what the group of bats are called. There is a name. They're not a flock, they're not a school. What do we call the group of bats? I should know this because as a first grade teacher, we always focused on bats in October, and bats are so fascinating. And their echolocution and just they're very smart animals. But I can't remember what the group of them is called. Maybe if somebody knows, they'll remind me. All right, there's my insert. And I'm trying to stay organized as we will be using these boxes tonight. I do 2 sessions of Stamp with Friends, back-to-back nights. Same cards, different friends. And it is my longest service events. By that I mean I've been holding Stamp with Friends for nearly 20 years. And the wonderful thing about it is that some of the stampers were with me at my very first session, which is so cool, I think. All right, we are getting there, so let's take a look. We're going to add our little cloud, and I'm going to cover up some of these things. We're going to add our little cloud, and because of this size, oops, I'm just going to use a mini glue dot to get it on there. And I just want to place it in the circle. He's going to be right above our little ghost. And let's see, we're going to have our ghost peeking in, so I'm going to snip him off his, would it be a tail? I'm not sure. And I'm looking for my scissors. How can that be? It's okay, got it. Just because I want him to come in off the edge. Now I'm going to pop him up with a couple of dimensionals. Right through here, press that on. We're going to add our little bats up around the focal point. I've got 3. And let's see, I'm just going to lay them out the way I want them to go. One's kind of flying off the circle, and then just a little chaos with the bats. Happy with that. And what I do want to do, I noticed this little bat eyes did not come out, well, this one either, during cutting. So I'm just going to take my Take Your Pick, the coolest tool, use a little dot of glue. Remember, not a lot. And pressing down a second one. Dot, dot. Hopefully you can see I'm in within camera range, right? There. And pop out the eyes. And here we go. And pop him right down here. Oops, his eye is not coming out. There we go. Put him right in place. There we go. And we put in our insert. We've got everything going. Final touch are the cute embellishments called Adhesive Backed Bats, Ghost and Dots. And I'm just going to take one of the cute little 3D ghosts, and I usually like to do it with my Take Your Pick, so I'm sure that I grab that little glue dot underneath. And I'm going to just put down my little ghost right in that spot. And there is our cutest little Halloween card. So tell me, are you a spooky Halloween or a scary Halloween? Let me know, cute or spooky. I am totally team cute. My ghosts may haunt you, but they probably bring snacks, right? Super cute. That's one of the cards from Stamp with Friends. So let's move on. Let me try to move some of these things out of the way. And we'll carry on to, let's see. All right. Card number 2. We are moving to something bold, a little bit more playful, soft, pretty. This card features the Glow of Harvest pattern paper, which is the product of the month this month. And I must say, wow. Each sheet has that beautiful shimmer. You can't see it on camera, but trust me, if you were able to score a pack of this paper, just $5 with your order of $75, you're entitled to only one of the product of the month. It is amazing paper. It's single-sided, so you don't have to take sides. You're going to just choose the one that you like. And let's see, what else does it feature besides the beautiful paper? We have a soft check on the inside that comes from the Bloom of the Valley, I think it's called. It's the paper from the Lily of the Valley suite. Both patterns share the same gentle color, that basic beige, and they kind of complement each other instead of competing. So I've got a nice little circle going on here, which gives you the opening for the pattern underneath, and it's also a natural resting spot for the pretty flowers that I've got there. So let's combine that patterned paper along with texture. This card has a lot. It's also featuring that beautiful new embossing folder. Demo's got to pre-order it. It will be available September 1st, I believe. It's called Softly Woven, and it's a beautiful soft background. It's going to be a staple because you can use it on so many different themes, so many different kinds of projects. So we are going to start by creating the window on the pattern paper. And just a second ago, I mentioned these stylish shapes dies. Let me just bring out everything. I think it's going to be easier. We've got the Glow of Harvest paper, a layer of basic beige that I pre-embossed, a 3.5 inch square of that pretty soft pattern from Valley and Bloom. We have a basic beige card base, standard size, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4.25. I have a scrap of the, let's see, Sunset Shimmer Vellum. So cool. It's got a soft little tint to it, and it's got the shimmer on it. We're going to be stamping on that, stamping and punching. And I have my die cuts from, we're combining lots of product in here. So Fragrant Flowers is where I'm grabbing the die cuts right there. And we're using the cute, or the Happy Sentiments, So Happy For You, from this stamp set. And we are also going to be adding all the Flutter butterflies and the punch. We're using the punch from the bundle as well. So let's get started here. We can create our peek through circle here first. And for that, again, we're going to use that standard cut and emboss machine. And I'm just going to place this right on the board, and I'm coming in equal distance from the top and the sides. This is the largest circle die of the stylish shapes, and we are going to cut that circle in there. This paper, again, just amazing. The florals are probably my favorite. There are some gorgeous pumpkins, some little oak leaves, just leaves on their own. Another floral pattern. It is an amazing pack of paper that you can get for just $5 with your order of $75. So totally worth the $5. Let's start layering up a little bit. We've got our basic beige. I pre-scored it. Good morning, Debbie J. Thank you for joining me straight in from Cambria, my favorite Central Coast destination. Welcome to 100 degrees plus. All right, this is flat adhered. Now it's basic beige on basic beige, but while I want the texture, I don't necessarily want it on my card base. So I do have an extra layer here. It's the, and you always have a choice with the sides of the texture as well. So not a lot. Bring it in from the edge. And let's see. All right. We are abutting it. That's my technical term, which just means to align it to the scores and the borders. There we go. And we are going to add our Lily of the Valley, or Valley of the Bloom. I should say the name correctly, Valley and Bloom paper, and that is going to go right underneath here. So I think I'm in a good spot. This goes flat adhered. I do want to create a little bit of depth, so my next layer is going to be up on dimensionals almost like a window. It needs to be right around so. There we go. And let's make sure, yep. This layer I'm going to put on with dimensionals. So let's go ahead and grab some standard. And you just want to support it throughout the layer. So I'm probably using, I don't know, 8, more than I would typically use, that's for sure. But we have that window there that I want to make sure it's supported. It doesn't cave in. And let's do one more in here. Okay, so we're going to adhere this. So happy for you. I think it's a great sentiment. Any kind of congratulations or anything exciting that's happened in someone's life. We just need to acknowledge the things, and we actually need to say it or send a card. So many of the times people are in our thoughts and our prayers, but they don't know it until you say it, right? And a card is a great way to say it. So I'm just going to center that on my layer. We're almost there. So I've got 3 little flowers from Fragrant Layers. I did one in, I pre-cut one in Cajun Craze, Golden Glow, White. I have some little stems from the Fragrant Layers. I see I meant to get 2 of those, no worries. And I have my flower centers. Now, I know some people put them on top. On my card, you will notice I put them behind. I'm not sure which I like better. I'm going to stick with behind. What would you do? Would you put it on top? I think it kind of interrupts the pretty little flower. I just want that flower center to be a nice detail, but I don't want it to overpower the flower. Because I cut the flower centers in white, I am going to add a little bit of crumb cake with a blend. So just a little bit of color, not a lot. All right, so then let's add these to the flower center. Again, dot, dot, not a lot. And you probably can't see, these are so tiny. I'm just putting a dot on the petal. And we are going to place them right in the center of the flower. This completes the sweet little flower. And there we go. And one more. All right. Let's see. Next, let's do our, you know what? We should actually do our stamping. We are going to be stamping with Early Espresso. We're stamping those pretty little butterflies with that shimmer paper. To this, let's see. Back to part 2 of Stamp with Friends. I was just interrupted with an emergency, and thankfully it wasn't too big of an emergency. So by way of explanation, the husband is out getting his car serviced, only to discover his credit card has been hacked. So not good news for him, not good news for anybody. Anyway, it's not too serious. It's not dire. So sorry for the interruption. I am back. We were in the middle of creating this pretty So Happy For You card. And we've so far added our texture background, our pattern paper. This comes from Valley and Bloom, and our, oh my goodness, I'm getting flustered now with my names, Glow of Harvest paper atop. So we're about to create that pretty floral focal point, and we are going to be arranging them. Notice how they are a group of 3. 3s are always nice for arranging. And notice how I'm not spreading them across the whole image area. Instead, I'm choosing to focus them in a little cluster along one of the openings. And then let's see, we're going to add some leaves up here. I did go and grab, since I was free, I went and grabbed one of the pair of leaves. I like them a little bit better, I think. Anyway, you could use whichever leaves. These leaves and flowers, again, they come from the Fragrant Layers die set. So let's go ahead and add these. I am going to be using my mini Stampin' dimensionals right through here. And if you'll recall, once I get things arranged, I either like to use mini glue dots or somehow put them back into position without distracting my arrangement. Just because once you've finessed it into place, it's how you want it to look, right? All right, so if you just popped in, this class was interrupted. I had to sign off for an emergency, not an emergency, but anyway, I needed to see what was going on. And the good news is it's not life-threatening or dire. So just, again, that credit card compromising, I think everybody has experienced it, and it is so frustrating and annoying. It's just a sign of the days we live in. Anyway, there we go. I'm just arranging my little flowers and leaves here. Some of them I'm going to pop up or pop into place just with a little glue dot instead of a dimensional. I don't like to, what I call double dimensional. Just this floral layer is already popped up on dimensional, so I don't want it getting too much depth. Then it gets difficult to place into the envelope for mailing. All right, so there's my floral arrangement. Next, let's go back to those butterflies that we stamped earlier. We stamped them on the, let's see, what's it called? The Sunset Shimmer Vellum in Early Espresso. I am going to add a little bit of color behind, so I'm going to flip them over, bring in my markers. You could use blends, and I'm going to marker in a little bit of color. Not a lot. I want them very subtle. And I'm going to start off with the Timid Tiger. I still love my Stampin' Right markers. This is a great use for them. And then I'm going to come in with this is Darling Duckling. My yellow is not the the Golden Glow, because Stampin' Up quit doing the Stampin' Right markers this year, so no ink colors in markers. Instead, there are blends, which again you could use. Makes no difference. You just want to put a little bit of color behind on the butterflies. All right, then there is an awesome punch with that Olive Flutter bundle. I'm going to flip this over, and we're going to position this right in. And notice how I was strategic about how I stamped my butterflies, because I want to make sure that they're easily going to slip into the punch without a lot of extra trimming and twisting. And that this way I can still hold on to the paper. It doesn't get swallowed up by the punch, and I can see everything's outlined the way I want it to look. So punch, they're gonna pop, and we are done with the punch. I'm gonna bring in my reference card, and we're now gonna add these sweet little butterflies to our card front. And already, oh, there it is. I was gonna say, I already lost one. How does that happen? I am gonna take my largest butterfly, and I'm gonna put a dimensional behind it, but not a full dimensional. I'm gonna trim up a bit, if I can find my scissors. And I think, I think this is deja vu. I just had them. Okay, here we go. No worries, call off 911. I'm just gonna trim off a thin little strip that I'm gonna put on the body of the larger butterfly. So I'm kind of working off camera. Tiny, tiny strip. Flip that butterfly over, put it right behind the body. And place this into position on the card front. Right up in there. It's flying right out of the circle. Let's see, the next two don't matter so much. There is one smaller, one bigger, but not critical. Again, I'm going to get a small piece. This is going to go inside this circle, so I do want to elevate it with dimensional. Again, I'm just cutting off a little sliver from the supply. Trying to find my sticky side. There we go. And this will go onto here. I probably should have put my sentiment on first so that I made sure I had space for it, but sometimes when I'm crafting, I want to add these elements before I lose them. So they're kind of fluttering up around that focal point. All we have left to do is stamp our sentiment, which comes from the Fragrant Layers bundle. So happy for you. We're going to go ahead and stamp it right in position. And let's see, we're going to create our little forked ends. So there, and oops, right in through here. So I like to do one up the middle and then come in from the angles and pull that out. And let's see, I don't think I need to do the second size because it's going to be, no, I do need to do the second side. It's kind of, there we go. Let's see if I can move those, or I'm just going to snip off the tiniest end. It's going to go into position here. And it is going to be elevated. It goes right up to the edge. It is going to be elevated with dimensionals, so let me get a dimensional on. And I'm going to do a couple.